It is the custom in many countries for death row inmate to be given the right to choose one last special meal before the sentence is carried out. Despite being the last, some prisoners chose very strange meals as the last thing they had freely before they died. Regardless of the legal regulations that define this meal, in the end the prisoner gets what he wants last as much as is reasonable. For example, cigarettes or alcohol are not allowed to be ordered in most U.S. states. In Florida, the cost of a meal can be no more than $40, and in Oklahoma, $15 is the limit. In Louisiana, a prison warden joins a convict for the last meal. The dishes that prisoners order are usually steak, fried chicken, pizza, pasta, burgers, cakes and pancakes. Sometimes, the request may be unusual, so we've compiled a list of the weirdest meals ordered by death row inmates. Welcome to a new episode of the Do You Know channel. But at first, if you are still new to the channel, do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell to receive our videos first. Victor Harry Vigor. In 1960, Victor Harry Vigor, a homeless from Michigan, arrived in Dubuque, Iowa. Arriving there, he rented a room and began calling doctors from the Yellow Pages. Dr. Edward Bartles answered his call and Vigor claimed that a woman needed help. When Dr. Bartles arrived, Victor shot himself in the head. A few days later, the doctor's body was found in a cornfield and Vigor was arrested while trying to sell the victim's car. He was charged with kidnapping and murder and sentenced to death. Vigor was 28 years old when he was hanged on March 15, 1963. Her dog Victor Harry Vigor's last meal was one olive. After the execution, an olive seed was found in his suit pocket. It is believed that Vigor wanted to be buried with the seed so that an olive tree would grow from his grave. Lawrence Russell Brewer. Lawrence Russell Brewer was a white supremacist who joined a white supremacist gang in prison. On June 7, 1998, Brewer and two other members of the gang tied African-American James Beard to the back of a pickup truck and towed him 3 miles until his head and right arm were cut off. Beard showed no remorse for the brutal act and was executed by lethal injection on September 21, 2011. The last order of the Brewer's meal was a feast of 2 slices of fried chicken, 3 fajitas sandwiches, a triple cheese bacon burger, a pound of barbecue, a meat pizza, a bowl of fried okra, a pint of ice cream, and a peanut butter fudge with nuts. When Beer got the meal, he refused to eat any of it, claiming he wasn't hungry, causing prison officials to be so angry that they ended an 87-year tradition of final meals for Texas inmates. David Leon Woods. David Woods was executed by lethal injection in Indiana on May 4, 2007. Prior to his arrest and conviction, Woods and 2 friends went to Juan Place's home to steal his television. They rang the doorbell of Place's apartment and when the man opened the door, Woods began to stab him. Then they stole the television and left the man to die. The next morning, Woods called the police claiming that he had found the body of a man. After questioning him, his mother said she believed he was responsible for the victim's death. After an intense investigation, he confessed to his actions. 22 years after he carried out his crime, a death warrant was issued against him, and his last meal was pizza and a birthday cake with his family. His birthday was 3 months after the execution of the sentence. Philip Ray Workman. Philip was 28 years old when he shot and killed police officer Ronald Oliver while robbing Wendy's in Memphis. On August 5, 1981, shortly after his arrest, Workman was sentenced to death by lethal injection. He was addicted to cocaine and left behind a wife and 8-year-old daughter. In an attempt to atone for his guilt, Workman requested that a vegan pizza be served to the homeless as his last meal, but prison officials refused his request and Workman refused to eat anything. However, on May 9, 2007, the day of his execution, Tennessee homeless shelters received vegan pizza from across the country. James Edward Smith. On March 7, 1983, James Edward Smith shot and killed Larry Delrose while he was robbing Union Insurance. Smith was convicted of premeditated murder and sentenced to death by lethal injection. Smith's mother, Alexa Hamilton, defended her son, insisting he was brainwashed by black magic and witchcraft. Prior to his arrest, Smith claimed to have participated in 6 ritual killings in which he killed and beheaded a 1-year-old boy, then threw his body off a bridge. For his last meal, Smith asked for voodoo ritual dirt. He wanted to use it to mark his body so that his soul would move and not remain on the ground. As he described it, Smith's request was not granted, and on June 25, 1990, he received yogurt as his last meal. Ricky Ray Rector. In 1981, Ricky Ray Rector killed a man in a restaurant and agreed to surrender to the police. But he changed his mind and shot police officer Robert Martin in the back. He then shot himself in the head but escaped to be executed by lethal injection. His last order was steak, fried chicken, cherry Kool-Aid, and pecan pie. On the day of his execution, Rector left the walnut pie and told the officer he would keep it for later. Eileen Carol Wuornos. Eileen Carol Wuornos was an American serial killer in Florida. Between 1989 and 1990, it shot and killed 7 men. Although Wuornos claims that she was assaulted by the men and that she acted in self-defense, she was sentenced to death. While in prison, Wuornos gave several interviews in which she revealed her damaged mental state and claimed that she had been abused and exploited since she was a young girl and that she hated men. Eileen has a score of 32/40 on the psychopathy checklist, where the diagnosis of psychopathy is above 25. On October 29, 2002, she was executed by lethal injection. As for her last meal, she just asked for a cup of coffee. In 2003, just a year after Eileen's execution, a movie was made about her and her crimes. The movie Monster won an Oscar. Thomas J. Grasso. Thomas Grasso was 32 years old when he was executed by lethal injection at the Oklahoma State Penitentiary on March 20, 1995. Grasso's execution was punishment for his 2 victims. His first victim was 87-year-old Hilda Johnson, who strangled her with her own Christmas tree lights on December 24, 1990. The woman lost her life for $12 and a TV. 6 months later, Grasso murdered 81-year-old Leslie Holtz and stole her Social Security check. Grasso confessed to both crimes when he was arrested in New York. His last meal was 20 mussels, 20 oysters, half a dozen ribs, a Del cheeseburger from Burger King, 2 strawberry milkshakes, half a pumpkin and strawberry muffin, and a box of spaghetti with meatballs. Of course, Grasso got everything he asked for. In the end, if you liked the video, don't forget to like and share your opinion in the comments.